Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ann Nwawodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, as the nation tries to come to terms with a renewed wave of suicide bombers in Gusau, Borno State, injured victims are moved to the accident and emergency units of the Maiduguri Specialist Hospital. Irked by the horrific Borno detonations, President Bola Tinubu vows to bring the culprits of the act to terror to book. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, asks Nigerians to collaborate with the Nigerian Army and other security agencies in their quest to combat terrorists and all enemies of the Nigeria state. And France vows... We begin in Borno State, Nigeria's northeast region, where injured victims of suicide bombings, which left 18 people dead and about 19 others injured in Gusau town, have been taken to the Borno Specialist Hospital in Borno State. They're now being evacuated to the accident and emergency hospital in Maiduguri, the state capital. And this is coming a day after 4 suicide bombers set off improvised explosive devices in Gusau town. The Director General of SEMA, Barkindo Saidu, says that at about 3 p.m. yesterday, the first bomb blast at Tashan Marbara near the fire service in Gusau went off in the midst of the chaos.
It's not a normal day for the accident and emergency units of the State Specialist Hospital, Maiduguri, Borno State. They have to attend to victims of multiple suicide bombings with varying traumatic injuries, all inflicted by multiple explosions. First at a wedding ceremony in Gusau, and then another inside the town. Who feels it, knows it. As these victims are in so much pain, they lack the energy to cry. Undeterred by the number of the injured and extent of the injury, the hospital personnel are hands-on to ensure that they receive urgent medical treatment.
As you can see, we brought about 31 victims of this bomb blast. We brought some yesterday, just about 12 who are not, they are still under treatment, who are not yet verified to be well. And they brought that one, but there was a curfew yesterday to this effect. But as of now, I think the situation is very tense because they are just discovering some of the victims affected. As of yesterday, most of these victims were not known to be affected because they thought it was only maybe a few injuries. So maybe first aid treatments will take care of some of these cases. But as we can see, it is very severe. So we just hope they will get well.
These victims can't speak as the pains are excruciating, but the secretary of the local government shares what she knows about the bombing.
We can't say exactly how it happened because it was just all of the clues, from a wedding. There was a wedding, and at the wedding, the first bomb blast exploded. And after that explosion, in the course of the burials and packing of the corpses, the second bomb blast bomb exploded. And there was another one at a distance. That is all in the same street, but at a distance.
Some unanswered questions still hang in the air. The coming days will bring more clarity as a more comprehensive death toll, as well as updates of the injured, will hopefully emerge.
Meanwhile, the president has strongly condemned the Gusau attacks, describing them as desperate acts of terror and a clear manifestation of the pressure mounted against terrorists and the success already achieved in degrading their capacity to launch offensives. In a statement issued by the special advisor to the president, media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, President Bola Tinubu vows that the purveyors of wanton violence will be punished and that these cowardly attacks are only but an isolated episode, as his government will not allow the nation slither into an era of fear, tears, sorrow, and blood. Part of that statement reads, "The President declares that the purveyors of wanton violence shall have a certain encounter with justice, and that these cowardly attacks are only but an isolated episode, as his government will not allow the nation into an era of fear, tears, and sorrow," end of quote. While condoling with the victims, the president assures Nigerians that his administration is taking necessary measures to secure citizens, emphasizing that efforts will be redoubled to ensure that those who trouble the nation, dispatching precious lives and disrupting law and order, are completely removed. And more reactions have been trailing the Gusau bombing. The latest is coming from the U.S. government. The message on the U.S. Embassy and Consulate in Nigeria says that the United States condemns in the strongest possible terms the horrific attacks that took place in Gusau, Borno State, on June the 29th. According to the mission, these reprehensible attacks and acts of violence show a cruel and heartless disregard for human life. The United States goes on to offer its deepest condolences to the families and friends of those killed, wishing a full recovery to the injured, adding that these attacks are a stark reminder of the ongoing threat posed by terrorism in the region. The U.S. diplomatic mission in Nigeria says it is committed to its partnership with Nigeria as it works to defeat terrorism and bring the perpetrators of these heinous acts to justice. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, is bothered about the incidents of terrorism resurfacing in the northeastern region. He also condemns the bomb attacks, which resulted in the loss of lives and the maiming of other citizens in Gusau local government area of Borno State. In a statement issued today on his X handle, Mr. Atiku Abubakar said the suicide attacks in Borno are sad and condemnable, stressing that the ugly incident is worrisome. And staying with the issue of insecurity, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, is again asking Nigerians to team up with the Nigerian Army and other security agencies in their quest to combat terrorists and all enemies of the state. Speaking in Abuja, the nation's capital, at the special Thanksgiving service to commemorate the 2024 Nigerian Army Day celebration, General Lagbaja says the Army will continue to live up to the expectations of Nigerians to defend the nation's territorial integrity. General Lagbaja, however, applauds the support of the federal government and other security agencies in tackling all forms of security threats being experienced in the country.
In about 161 years, the Nigerian Army has experienced wars, low-intensity conflicts, armed military operations other than war, such as peacekeeping, peace enforcement, armed military aid through civil authority engagements. Nigeria today boasts of a force that is globally reckoned with. A force renowned for its tenacity and adaptability. A force that is victory-focused, understands the underlying spiritual component of the fighting power, and ascribes battle successes to God, as conspicuously captured by its motto, "Victory is from God alone." I believe it is in recognition of the place of thankfulness to God for the past year and the need to seek divine guidance and blessings for a new year that our forefathers initiated the NREL religious activities aside from other celebration programs.
Well, it may take a second to detonate a bomb or fire gunshots, but it takes years to recover from its effects. And this is the reality of the people of Rann in Borno State, who are facing years of conflict, which has disrupted their source of livelihood. In this next report, our correspondent Emperor Simon visited the community and reports that food shortage is forcing young boys and girls in that community to go in search of greener pastures in neighboring countries where they are allegedly dehumanized.
Rann, a border community between Nigeria and Cameroon, is located in Calabarge local government area of Borno State in northeast Nigeria. The once agrarian community, like many in the region, has suffered security threats. Major attacks by Boko Haram terrorists between 2014 and 2018 left dozens of people killed and the entire population of Rann displaced. With the Nigerian military gaining traction in the fight against insurgency in the northeast, peace is gradually returning to Rann, and there appears to be a feeling of relative security. Over 40,000 people who had fled Rann in the years of attacks have returned home. Residents say that there hasn't been any breach of security in the last 2 years. Despite the relative peace now being enjoyed in Rann, the years of conflict have taken a great toll on the people's livelihood. Basic amenities are grossly inadequate, with a few available overstretched. Modernity is a far cry from Rann.
See our people, they are suffering for water. They are fishing from morning to evening, and it will not feed them. Since 6 o'clock to 6 as well, it will not able to feed them. We casting for water.
The hospital have renovated.
Mr. Mohammed Kusha is a protection monitor for an international non-governmental organization providing humanitarian services in Rann. He says the situation is dire.
Rann populations, 95% depending on humanitarian support. We then have health facility that can manage secondary health care. We have an Alima hospital clinic in Makari, which is about 50 kilometers from here. Even today, I saw one woman in my family. Just now that they are on their way to Cameroon, to Alima Hospital.
Agricultural activities in Rann have been disrupted, leading to scarcity of food in the area. The rising food inflation in the country also threatens the people's survival.
We are facing difficulties, no food to eat and no water to drink.
Young people, including teenage girls, are forced to go in search of greener pastures across the border at the risk of their lives. The story of the humiliation they suffer is heart-wrenching.
Last year we have 8, this year we have 4 that went to Cameroon for menial jobs and coming back to us with pregnancy.
For now, Rann is in its rebuilding phase. The state government is building the first ever secondary school in the community. The people are picking what is left of their lives to forge on as they look forward to better days ahead. New families are springing up, with brides riding to the home of their newly found love, hopefully to birth new offspring that will carry on the future of Rann. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Let's head to Edo State now, where the police command is advising parents and guardians to pay adequate attention to their children and wards in order to keep them from becoming perpetrators of victims of crime. For the Commissioner of Police, Edo State Command, the warning has become necessary even more after his team of operatives arrested a 19-year-old girl allegedly involved in the kidnap of an elderly pastor in that community near Benin, the state capital.
Once again.
A recent set of suspects operators of the Edo State Police Command have arrested as lined up here are said to have been apprehended for crimes ranging from kidnapping to armed robbery, with the majority allegedly cultists.
He's a Neye man. He wanted to go and kill another member of a rival cult group, which is Vikings. As luck was against them, they didn't see the victim to kill belonging to Vikings. They decided, instead of going home empty-handed, to go for robbery. You can see the correlation that I'm talking of now.
This pair were arrested for their alleged involvement in kidnapping. One of the suspects is a 19-year-old who claims to be an undergraduate.
She was crying that she needed the help of the pastor, that they should please open the door for, that she's the wife of one of the church members. That's the lie. That's what she told. The story she sold to the pastor. So as soon as the pastor opened the gate, the door for her, all the members of the kidnapping group, they hijacked the man at gunpoint and they took the man away.
She gets the opportunity to tell her side of the story.
The day this operation took place, they asked me, let's come out and get something if I have eaten. I said no, so I came out. We are three. Around 8 to 9, he said he wants to escort me back home. He asked me that I want to follow a shortcut that will come out closer to where my friend is staying so I can go. I said, okay. We both at the backyard, someone's backyard. So I told him, what are we doing here? He asked me to shut up. As I wanted to turn back, I felt a gun pointed at my head. I didn't say anything. I had nothing to say. I was shocked at that moment. So anything he asked me to do, that I should do it. I said, okay.
The Commissioner of Police has some counsel for parents and guardians.
Members of the public, let's watch our children, our wards, monitor what they do, the kind of friendship they keep, because she saw this one giving a gun to her own boyfriend. It was the boyfriend who, according to her, lured her into this criminal activity, kidnapping. It's quite unfortunate, a 19-year-old girl. So people should be careful.
The command says, as a follow-up, it will ensure that the suspects are prosecuted. Jessica Olugusere, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, asks Nigerians to team up with the Nigerian Army and other security agencies in their quest to combat terrorists and all enemies of the Nigeria state. Please join us again.
Bye. Today, bad man. Let me call phone call now. Help my ministry. You know, since I be your main guy, have fun now or spot me data now.
Babatunde, my G from under the mother. You know, since I first asked since last week. Huh? What are you guys going to give me first?
Can I have all of my beverages?
Guy, how far come now? Make I spoil you with cinema tickets.
You can have my lucky underwear.
Guys, just get on Glow Campus Booster.
Enjoy 100% data bonus on campus with Glow Campus Booster. Dial *312# and flex on campus non-stop.
Power your relentless ambition with ultra-high-speed data.
Glow Unlimited.
The Duchess International Hospital caters to every aspect of the family's health needs. A one-stop shop for maternity and child health services, emergency medicine and critical care, medical and surgical subspecialties, dental and eye care, and a range of other subspecialties and services, all available at a single location right here in the heart of Ikeja. And it really doesn't matter if you're paying out of pocket using your HMO or private insurance. We focus completely on providing that world-class affordable healthcare for all the family at all times.
We all want a good life. To do the things that give us the most joy. To reach for the things we want and get them. To move our feet and go where our hearts take us. To become who we've always thought we were. To break free from the ordinary and live life to the fullest.
The good life is not a destination, it's a journey.
Verve, Africa's premier payment card, is the passport that keeps you moving from good life to good life.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Taoreed Lagbaja, asks Nigerians to collaborate with the Nigerian Army and other security agencies in their quest to combat terrorists and all enemies of the Nigerian state. And France votes in the first round of parliamentary elections, voter turnout the highest in 40 years. Deaths, injuries, and losses. But tonight, Babajide Gusau, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data analyst, is here to share more insights about the implications of this recent event. Thank you very much, Babajide. And we must say it's a really sad trend happening right now, especially condolences to the families and victims of that sad incident. But the trend of suicide bombings has been on the decline before now. I mean, female suicide bombers attacked Gusau. Is there any clue as to what happened?
First, like you said, Anne, this is even beyond the sad event. This was an evil act, not a religious act, an evil act. The second is, I'm shocked. The third and final is, I'm not surprised. Why am I shocked and not surprised? Let's take a look at the timeline of events, the most significant events in Gusau in the last decade, because it will allow us to clearly keep an eye on what exactly has happened and why this exactly suicide bombing is happening at this point in time. And if you take a look at exactly what has happened since 2014, remember there were reports of religious killings between February and May. The third emir of Gusau was killed, was murdered by terrorists after he had condemned Boko Haram activities in May 2014. Let's not forget that on the 2nd of June, there was a Gusau massacre. Terrorists killed more than 300 persons. And exactly, it's in Gusau that Abubakar Shekau, the then leader of Boko Haram, declared Gusau as a caliphate. That was on the 24th of August 2014, about a decade ago. So we see that Gusau, for the terrorist, represents home. The emir was killed because he had condemned Gusau, and we had seen a lot of activities that had led up to Abubakar Shekau declaring Gusau as a caliphate. Now, what had happened between 2015 to 2020, the military under Major General Chris Olukolade had confirmed that the army had retaken Gusau on the 27th of March 2015. Despite that, about 2 years after, we had explosions in IDP camps, killing 5 persons. Women have been abducted along Gusau, 2018. And it took several years for the fourth emir, who was the son of the third emir that was killed, for him to return home. He only returned home on the 15th of July, 2019. And 6 months after, we had twin suicide bombers attacking another mosque in Gusau. So we've seen within this other 5-year block, 2015 to 2020, the terrorists still trying to keep a hold on Gusau, a grip that they were losing, despite them trying to declare Gusau a caliphate in August 2020. Between 2020 to date, before these multiple bombings happened in the last 48 hours, we have seen an attack in Gusau in 2021. We have seen just during the election, just before the election, terrorists had attacked voters February 2023. But 2 key events has happened in the last 1 year. The first is President Buhari has signed a bill to establish a Federal College of Education in Gusau. A great move that the governor had also supported, but for the terrorists, this was trying to attack what they perceived to be their ground. And the military as well had killed a wanted terrorist leader, Abu Assad, in Gusau. So if you look at exactly what has been going on in Gusau, especially a focus on the last 12 months, whereby the signing of a bill where the governor is saying that though the terrorists feel Gusau is their caliphate, the caliphate had been brought down and education would reign supreme in Gusau. The military had killed Abu Assad, who was a wanted leader. And so clearly what we see is that the terrorists are attempting to make a statement. They are attempting to fight back, looking way back to what had even happened in 2014, where Abu Shekau had declared the caliphate in Gusau. So in all, Gusau means a lot to the terrorists, but beyond what it means to the terrorists, Gusau is a Nigerian town that is no longer a caliphate, and the state government, the local government, the emirs, the traditional rulers, and the federal government is ensuring that education, not terrorism, reigns supreme in Gusau. But beyond all of this, especially what has happened in the last 24 hours, we also see, which we've seen, that the Chief of Army Staff is commenting on these events. We've also seen the Chief of Defense Staff take a position on that this is a fight just beyond Nigeria, and the terrorists is a fight between good and evil. A lot of people have asked, why Gusau? Beyond Gusau, if you take a look at what exactly is going on along Borno's 27 local governments, 2 other local governments come out as part of the local governments the terrorists use to try to conduct their activities. Bama and Damboa. If you look at along those lines, Damboa, Gusau, and Bama. Gusau comes out in the middle, clearly because of its ease of escape for the terrorists into Cameroon. Second, because of the terrain. You have the Mandara Hills there, you have mountains, and the third, which is one of the reasons why the terrorists keep trying to use Gusau, is because of the population. Excluding Maiduguri, which is the capital of Borno, looking at the census figures, Gusau has the highest population. It is the most populated local government in Borno State, excluding Maiduguri, going by the census. So for the terrorists, there are a lot of activities there. It is easy for them to hide. It's close to Cameroon. It's easy for them to escape. And the relationship between Damboa and Bama allows them to flow fluidly because of the scope and the size of that land. So that's in essence is the summary of what exactly has happened in Gusau within the last 10 years.
But let's talk about the progress already made by the armed forces, of course, in Borno State and other states experiencing these threats of violent extremists.
We can look at it these 2 ways. We can look at the information that the Defense Headquarters has put out. We can also look at what the people feel. Let's take a look at the recent statistics released by the Defense Headquarters about how much progress they are making on the fight against terrorism. If we focus on those numbers, in the first 3 months of the year, 1,241 citizens were rescued. That improved in the second quarter. Approximately 2,000 citizens were rescued. On the summary this year, January to June, on an average, 18 Nigerians are rescued every day by the armed forces. What about terrorists killed? Over 2,300 in the first quarter. In the first half, approximately 4,600. On an average, 26 terrorists are killed every day. Terrorists are arrested. January to June, on an average, 33 terrorists are arrested every day. The challenge, Anne, is we're seeing this good performance from the army. The challenge is we're killing terrorists, but there's a large reserve of terrorists. Plus, based on the poverty and out-of-school children numbers, a lot more are getting recruited faster than we are neutralizing this terrorists. So that is the challenge. Yes, a lot are going down, but a lot more are being recruited. That is the perspective if you look at the statistics from the Defense Headquarters. However, how do the people feel? Before this attack, let's look at the opinion polls, especially do Nigerians feel they are getting safer? And the most recent polls from citizens shows that citizens in the northeast, southwest, south-south, and southeast say security is improving. It's about the same feedback compared to last year in May in the north central, and it's in the northwest that we see citizens complain that security is not improving. So in all, prior to this attack, across the 6 geopolitical zones, 4 zones were showing positive, 1 in the red, and 1 neutral. The challenge we have today is that zone, the northeast, that 61% of citizens said security is improving. It is now in the northeast that this challenge of female suicide bombs exactly in Borno, in Gusau and Borno, that we see this concern. So we're going to be waiting for the new polls to come out to look at how citizens are feeling with reference to security.
All right, but quickly before, just in a minute, what should the government do? What can be done at the moment to help these families feel safer?
One of the things Professor Shoyinka had said is talking about preaching Boko Halal, which is education is good. The governor of Borno State, Governor Zulum, has been doing a lot of that, and that's one of the reasons why he insisted that the Federal College of Education will be situated in Gusau to make a point. So we need to keep improving and expanding the vision. And I would want even a newer vision for Borno, whereby Borno should do all it can to become the most educated, perhaps the most literate state in Nigeria. And so, yes, we've seen a lot of programs being done by the local and state government, but the state government now needs to have a new vision for the state. In the final analysis, let's not forget, there's still a social, religious problem in Borno that needs to be solved. Out-of-school children and poverty. Anne.
All right. Thank you very much. Babajide Gusau, founder of Leadership by Data and, of course, Channel 7 Vision's data analyst. Thanks for your time on the news at 10. And still to come on the news at 10, the Nigeria Education Loan Fund says that all is now set for every Nigerian eligible and qualified to access non-interest loan facility. Please stay with us.
Investing in the capital market can be tricky as the numbers move in different directions. Sometimes the bull bellows. Other times it's the beer that pours. In all of these, an investment decision has to be made. On Capital Market, we help you take the right decision. Join us at 7 p.m. every Saturday, only on Channels Television. Capital Market, investment tips for you.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com. Click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
Matters now. Tree planting has been described as a symbol of hope and growth, which goes beyond the physical towards achieving greener, healthier, and sustainable world. The General Officer Commanding 3 Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar, who stated this at the tree planting exercise in Bassa, Plateau State, explains that trees are crucial aspects of security, which secures the environment with numerous benefits that are often taken for granted.
The Joint Security Task Force Operation Safe Haven is engaging in tree planting exercise as part of its commitment to preserve the environment in view of the disruptive challenge of climate change. Addressing the gathering at the flag off of the exercise in Mr. Ali Community of Bassa Local Government Area of Plateau State, the General Officer Commanding 3 Division describes the gesture as a non-kinetic effort towards fostering unity and enhancing security of lives and property.
In the military, we prioritize discipline, resilience, as well as teamwork. These principles can also be applied to these acts of environmental conservation. Just like we work as a team to defend the nation, we must unite to protect our environment.
In his welcome remarks, the sector commander in the area of operation stresses the importance of saving the environment through tree planting.
Our trees are being depleted, climate change is fast approaching, and accordingly we felt the need to come today to plant trees so that we can support the environment.
Citizens are equally enjoined to cultivate the habit of protecting the environment, just as students are encouraged to establish peace clubs.
We have seen where trees are being felled. We have seen where artisanal mining has left our environment degraded. And some of the effects, what the TIC chairman of Just North just spoke about. And we see the conflicts that these engender in our communities. So for us, this engagement today is a very important one, and we're really pleased and proud to be part of it.
The Commander of Operation Safe Haven, alongside the State Commissioner of Police and other dignitaries, take turns to plant trees. At the end of the exercise, some persons with disabilities in the community are presented with wheelchairs, while some outstanding members of vigilante groups receive awards for their contributions towards securing the community in synergy with the Joint Security Task Force.
The governor of Taraba State, Abu Kefes, has asked the various ethnic nationalities in the Gongola Basin region to discard primordial sentiments and pool resources together for the development of their communities and the country at large. He made this comment at the mating assembly of the Gongola People's Forum, the GPF, in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, where he reiterated that Taraba State, as a component of Old Gongola State, will fully identify with the forum.
The Gongola People's Forum, made up of 72 ethnic nationalities of the former Gongola state, are here to promote peaceful coexistence amidst its diversity. Members of the forum roll out their drums as they display their rich cultural heritage at the Mahmoud Ribadu Square in Yola. The chairman of the forum set the tone for the event, saying the group is devoid of sectional sentiments, just as the Secretary General of Afeni Ferry applauds the objective of the forum.
The occasion invariably sets in motion the process of eliminating fault lines in our horizontal relationships, which include political, religious, social and cultural, in addition to other cleavages, in order to build a strong bond of unity for the overall socio-cultural, economic and political development of the indigenous ethnic nationalities of Adamawa State.
Afro people believe in the unity of Nigeria, but it must be that kind of unity where every ethnic nationality is treated as being equal to every other ethnic nationality.
Some dignitaries present lay emphasis that the aim of the group is to foster unity in diversity.
The mobilization highly effective. The acceptance of the principles behind the gathering is highly accepted by almost all the nationalities. We are going to maintain this kind of a forum so that annually we will be meeting to celebrate not only the unity of the ethnic groups, but our culture.
The governor of Taraba State, Abu Kefes, represented by a former speaker of the State Assembly, highlights the essence of the Gongola People's Forum.
It is a step in the right direction that together we can make it. Together we can unite and make this country great. Together we can unite and make the region great. Together we can unite and make our people great. That is the message.
The event climaxes with the presentation of awards to illustrious citizens, state and federal lawmakers, while posthumous awards were presented to Ambassador Dan Suleiman, Air Marshal Alex Bade, amongst others.
To fulfill the promise of restoring the livelihoods of the people of Ogoniland after economic setback caused by oil pollution, the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, is now empowering micro-business owners with grants. The first 40 beneficiaries were selected from 4 Ogoni local government areas in the state. Our correspondent Deborah Agbalama reports.
The Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project, HYPREP, has begun disbursing grants to support micro-businesses in Ogoniland. The first 40 beneficiaries, all market women, received their grants at an event in Wikara, Kana LGA River State. Each beneficiary goes home with 100,000 naira, along with certificates for SME business training, which held earlier. It's one thing to be trained and receive grants, and yet another to put this into good use. HYPREP urges prudence and relentlessness from the beneficiaries.
They represent the resilience, strength, and entrepreneurial spirit of Ogoniland. Their devotion to their businesses, families, and communities is truly inspiring, and we are honored to support their efforts. For transparency and inclusiveness, these businesses were identified on the spot at their locations in local markets across 4 local government areas of Ogoniland.
This event is at the tail end of a process that selected market women who trade in various markets in Kana, Gokana, Tai, and Elimi LGAs.
These women were selected through a very transparent process. We did an on-the-spot selection of these women. We visited all the markets across the 4 local government areas with collaboration with the market union in all these markets. And we went from shop to shop to look at what these women were doing and those that really needed this support.
The beneficiaries who are ecstatic over the gesture speak on how helpful the grants will be to their businesses.
When I started my business, I started from 5,000 naira with only tomato and pepper. But now, by the grace of God, I'm doing a little bigger, more than how I started.
I'm very happy today that Hydrocarbon has remembered me to establish my business more.
Hydrocarbon says it will continue to intensify efforts aimed at enhancing the living standards of Ogonis, as this is just one of the many empowerment programs undertaken by Hydrocarbon. They have also embarked on the training of 5,000 youths in different skills, among other initiatives. Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SARAP, is asking the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, to account for and explain the whereabouts of over 100 billion naira dirty and bad notes and other large sum of cash awaiting examination, which are kept in various branches of the CBN. The statement issued by SARAP Deputy Director Kolawole Oluwadare says the allegations are documented in the latest annual report recently published by the Auditor General of the Federation. SARAP wants the CBN governor to, quote, explain the whereabouts of allegedly missing outstanding loan of 1.2 billion naira granted to the Enugu State government in 2015, an outstanding loan of 1.9 billion naira granted to the Anambra State government between 2015 and 2016, and to fully recover and remit the public funds in the nation's treasury. SARAP is also asking the CBN boss to explain the whereabouts of 7.2 billion naira budgeted for the construction of the CBN Dutse branch in 2010 and the 4.8 billion naira budgeted for the renovation of the CBN Abeokuta branch in 2009, then publish the names of the contractors who collected the money but failed to complete the projects. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election and a former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, has lamented the lack of adequate investments in the educational sector in Nigeria. He was speaking in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, during the graduation of the JSUIT Memorial College, posited that education is a massive investment which will help move people out of poverty and help Nigeria compete with others on the global scene.
Somebody asked me a question. Our country today is underdeveloped because we have not invested in education. The more a country invests in education, the more developed the country is. We have not invested, we are not developed. Because of it, we're not doing well. The measure of development is what they call Human Development Index. And three things, that's measure of development. And three things drives it: health, education, and pulling people out of poverty. But of these three, education is the most critical. So countries are doing better than us today because they invested in education. And you can see it everywhere. You might be looking at it, oh, but we're in Nigeria. Other people did not do this and everything. Those who are leading the world today are educated in their country. And I can tell you where you are now in this school. You are actually in a better school than most people who are overseas.
The Nigeria Education Loan Fund's NREL Fund says that it is working to ensure that all citizens of the country who desire to acquire tertiary education are not hindered in any way owing to paucity or lack of funds. The managing director of the agency, Mr. Akintunde Sawyer, told Channels Television the NREL Fund service is directed at Nigerian citizens regardless of their place of birth or political affiliation. According to him, all is now set for every Nigerian qualified to access the non-interest loan facility.
As you know, one of the things that we are trying to do is to ensure that there's no opportunity for the system to be rigged. Okay. So one of the things that we've built into the process is this non-interaction with those who might benefit from the loan, because once people feel that, well, I know the MD or I know the chairman or I know this person, it begins to compromise the system slowly. So we discourage that direct interaction from the get-go so that it's a more democratic system. This is going to impact the economy if we do this properly, the way we want to do it, in ways that people can't necessarily see. It's not just about training and getting a certificate. It's how does it affect the family structure of Nigeria? How does it affect the economy of Nigeria? How does it affect the social status of our people? It has far-reaching consequences, and we need to do this properly, and that's what we intend to do. So fine.
For the complete interview with Mr. Sawyer, please watch Newsnight on Monday at 9 p.m. on all Channels television platforms. And now to arts. The works of art created by some of Nigeria's best sculptures were displayed at the Art Amiable Annual International Center right here in Lagos. We see some amazing pieces from wood, scraps, metal, bronze, and even more in this show themed The Sculptor's Odyssey on Art Review tonight.
The sculptural piece created by Dotun Pokwala sets the tone for the visitors who have come to experience the third edition of the Art Amiable International Art Festival in Lagos. Step inside to see more ingenuity seen in this image made from metal scraps called the Maestro. It's all part of a large collection of hard pieces in a show themed The Sculptor's Odyssey, which is a celebration of the creative journey and artistic process from some of the finest in the game.
This breed of sculptors are the best, and the selection process was quite daunting to get the best of the best. And why do we say an odyssey? We say an odyssey because sculptors are a different breed in the fine art genre. They are the ones that really go for a journey to create every piece that they make.
Everyone can put a face to the name of those who have churned out these pieces.
This edition is unique in the sense that we have the caliber of people, different cadre of, sculptors from the well-established to the upcoming one. Now we have students that are also part of this show in a way that's to encourage and to let them see the journey that we are talking about, to let them see it in a clear form, and at the same time use them as a means of encouraging others to know that when you put your energy, you put your minds together in what you do, there's always a platform for you to navigate.
Over 40 works of art done in wood, metal, stone, and mixed media were displayed, so sculptors can have their day in the sun.
In the world of sports, England's last 16 tie against Slovakia has gone to extra time, and the Three Lions are 2-1 up thanks to a second goal from Harry Kane. Jude Bellingham also scored stunning 95th minute equaliser to rescue the Three Lions and take the game to extra time. Ivan Schranz had slotted Slovakia into deserved lead in the first half. The winner will face Switzerland in the quarterfinals, and that game will happen on July the 6th. Rodri, Fabian Ruiz, Nico Williams and Dani Olmo are all scored as Spain came from behind to beat Georgia 4-1 in the Euro 2024 this evening, setting up a blockbuster quarterfinal against host Germany. Georgia took a shock lead in the 18th minute of the last 16 tie to send their noisy supporters wild in Cologne. It was the first goal Spain had conceded at that competition, but they came back to equalize 6 minutes before the interval, courtesy of Manchester City midfielder Rodri. Well, Spain will now take on Germany in the last 8 at Stuttgart, and that game will happen on Friday in a repeat of the Euro 2008 final, which they won 1-0 to begin their golden era of dominance in international football. Belgium coach says that his side are not the favourites when they take on France in their last 16 Euro 2024 knockout match on Monday. Belgium has scored just twice in 3 games in Germany, but faced France side with the same poor record in front of the goal for a place in the quarter-finals. Novak Djokovic has said that he is fit enough to go for the title at Wimbledon after a miraculous 3-week recovery from knee surgery. The 37-year-old drew on the advice of fellow athletes who had suffered similar injuries, including Taylor Fritz and skier Lindsey Vonn, who all assured him that he could be in contention. He underwent an operation on his right leg after slipping on the 4th round of the French Open, pulling out before his quarterfinal with Casper Ruud. Rwanda is preparing for future food challenges as it predicts its population could increase to more than 15 million people by the year 2030. The country's agricultural challenges are real, with only 51.41% of the country being arable land, according to the World Bank collection of development indicators. But as a result of this, the Rwanda Institute for Conservation Agriculture was opened in July 2019 to educate Rwandan students with the knowledge and the skills to create cutting-edge solutions to food problems in the country. Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Amarachi Ubani reports.
The Rwanda Institute for Conservation Agriculture, RICA for short, sits on 1,300 hectares of land in Buskira in the country's eastern province, developed by the Howard Buffett Foundation into its present structure. Here, students are taught to contribute to food security and food safety by working through various agricultural processes. From poultry to pigs to cows.
This is our milking parlor. So this is where we milk the cows.
A natural lake nearby is the Institute's major water supply, and even animal waste is plowed back as manure on the fields. The rudimentary processes of smallholder operations are a must in the students' first year. They're given small pieces of land to cultivate and chickens to rear the local way, because in the end, they will be working with rural Rwandan farmers.
We don't expect them to be smallholder farmers when they graduate, but they will be providing services to smallholder farmers, and we expect them to be buying produce from those smallholder farmers. So we want them to understand the experiences of those smallholder farmers, because we're very interested in increasing the quality of life for those smallholder farmers also.
250 students are currently studying at the Institute, and the scholarship provided by the Howard Buffett Foundation is highly competitive, with just 2.8% of those who apply gaining admission. Learning takes place in aerated classrooms, and the only rooms with air conditioners are where meat from animals on the institute are processed and stored. The initiative in Rwanda is one that was once discussed by other African countries as well.
This initiative was floated for Africa, but Rwanda moved quickly. And so when they evaluated, which other place to be other than Rwanda, given governance, etc., issues. So I think sometimes it's just that other African countries, we delay in our consideration. Maybe the decision processes are much longer. And sometimes when you have a person of action like Howard Buffett, he moves quickly. So sometimes we need to just, grab the bull by the horn, quickly sometimes.
Some alumni of the institute have been employed there and are given different responsibilities.
The change to the job market is that when you are a student here, you are allowed to make mistakes because you're a student, you're learning. But when you get into job market, then it is very serious. So whatever I have to do it perfectly and in a very good condition.
The goal of the institute is for graduates to impact lives and preserve the country's critical resources. From Busgira, Rwanda, Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Exit polls show that France's far-right national rally has made big gains in the first round of the parliamentary elections. Marine Le Pen celebrated her party's early success, saying that democracy has spoken. She also declared President Emmanuel Macron's camp practically wiped out. The president, on his part, addressed the country in a written statement commending the people for their high participation, saying that this proves the importance of the vote for all compatriots. Turnout for this year's poll was set to be the highest in 40 years. The second round of voting is scheduled for next Sunday. Over in the United States, President Joe Biden has assured Democrat donors he can still win November's presidential election against Republican Donald Trump following a poor debate performance on Thursday. The 81-year-old president attended a series of fundraising events in New York and in New Jersey on Saturday. He defended his performance in the CNN presidential debate. Mr. Biden said that one of the events, "I didn't have a great night, but neither did Trump." He promised to win the election. Mr. Biden's debate performance was marked by hard-to-follow and shaky answers, raising fresh fears among some Democrats over whether he is the right candidate to contest in the high-stakes election. And the main news again. Injured victims of the multiple bombings in Gusau, Borno State were today moved to the accident and emergency units of the Maiduguri Specialist Hospital. Also today, President Bola Tinubu vowed to bring the culprits of that act of terror to book. That's news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful week ahead. Good night.